Hi and welcome to the Bite-Sized Garden. Not that long ago, the yard behind me looked more like this. So how did it end up looking like it does today? There were a few stages. First was the pond and then the veggie patches, but today's video is going to focus on the final stage, which was the brick paving, and why I chose to pave with the bricks pattern or face up.
Bite-Sized Garden.
We had some leftover recycled red bricks from our renovation, and as you can see, they have this great writing on it. I guess it's the name of the brick manufacturer, South Yarra. This is a suburb in Melbourne, and the idea of putting these face down, well, kind of made me a little bit sad. I didn't want to lose that great patterning. I had done a little test out on the nature strip in front of our house, and I really did like the look of it. I just think the rustic nature of it, the sort of unevenness of it, might help tie the pond in to the more formal veggie patches. Before we could start paving, the first job was to clear out a skipload of soil. It would have been easier with the digger, but there are some pipes, a water meter and tree roots that I didn't want to damage. Plus, I saved on going to the gym for a couple of weeks. I wasn't trying to get it level all the way around. There's actually quite a rise in the middle, which I'm happy with. I just needed to get the bricks down to the level of the driveway. Around the water meter, I dug out a little bit extra, surrounded it with scoria, and built a little box that I'd be able to pave right up to. I also dug around this tap to get it ready for a plumber who was going to move it to the fence line. Why it's sitting so far out, I've never quite understood. Here we are a few days later, the taps are on the fence line, and I've got a load of gravel arriving. Before putting down the gravel base, I used this eco weed matting to try and minimise any root or runner disruption. Then the base could go down. I did wonder the wisdom of digging out soil only to put more back in, but this was a paving base mix, so it would bed down to be quite solid and give a great base for the paving. Once that was all in, we had a mailbox to install. This needed a concrete base, and while it's not really my forte, the formwork was pretty easy because I already had 3 sides there. Once I had the letterbox nicely level, I needed to leave it for a couple of days so the concrete would harden off and I could drill the holes to bolt it in place. The other job I needed to do was raise up the side gate a little. Then it was time to finish off the water meter box. I chiselled out some space for the hinges to make a nice lid for the person who comes to read the water meter. The water meter box needed 2 things before it was finished: a handle for the lid and then a coat of paint. Next, it was time to bolt the mailbox in place. Then it was time to start paving. I wasn't quite sure what pattern I wanted to go with. I ended up choosing a pattern of alternating pairs. There are 3 things I can highly recommend while doing paving like this. 1, having someone, my lovely wife in this case, bringing bricks to you makes life a whole lot easier. Also, having a good cushion for your knees and good gloves for your hands are a must. At this stage, I wasn't at all worried about gaps. I would come back and fill in any odd-shaped bricks later. Nearing the finish, it was time to start thinking about those gaps that I'd left behind and the odd-shaped bricks that I would need to trim down. Using an angle grinder with a masonry and brick disc, I started to cut down the bricks. Because these are slightly older recycled bricks, cutting them with the angle grinder made using the chisel a whole lot easier. Even so, some of the bricks cracked where I didn't want them to. Do be really careful when using an angle grinder. They are dangerous bits of machinery, and make sure you have all the proper safety equipment. Placing the edging bricks on their side like this makes them sit up a little bit higher, holding the soil back and giving a nice edge to the path. It was about this time that I started to question the wisdom of putting the bricks face up. As you can see, the sand just did not want to go in the cracks, it just wanted to sit in the top of the bricks. Rather than fill in all the gaps with bricks, I put soil in some so I could plant some little ground covers and flowers to see how they would go on their own. Using the hose really helped move that sand and get it in some of the cracks, but I decided to change my strategy later on to be a little bit more targeted with the sand.
this is the other time I question the decision to put the bricks face up. Sorry, neighbours.
Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I do have some other videos if you want to see the building of the pond or the pond bridge. There's videos on that. I'm still working at the moment on a video for the garden beds behind me. These are actually a wicking bed style. That video will be up soon, and I'll put links in the description once that's up.